Okay,
Yeah,
so
you pretty much ended the same time that I think I roughly downloaded the game. So we were on and off at right at the same time, basically.
Yeah, that sounds probably about right.
yeah, so my first time seeing you was actually you doing your draft content. I saw you open. I think what was it, $1,000 worth of packs?
It was $1,000 worth of packs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$1,000 worth of packs. And now I don't know if you know this or because you made a video on it, basically about who you should aim for and why, and you got really in depth with specific players and how the boosts were going to be applied to them and all of that. Do you know how some of those cards are actually worth a lot now because of that?
Yeah, that was a big thing for me because they actually would have been worth a lot more, is the crazy part. Why I invested in them. Some of them should have been worth a lot more, but they had that adjustment to the draft cards. But I did have some hits. I did have some big hits there. A lot of the rookie wide receivers did do good. I was able to sell those for a profit. B. John did really well. I think the linebacker I missed out, but Jalen Carter did well. That was a really easy one. The linebacker on the Lions, though, I missed out on because I think he was like injured and like number 2 on the depth chart. I wasn't sure about him. He wasn't
Jack
a big
Campbell.
buy for me. But some of those cards did go. Some of those cards did go really crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, Will Anderson Jr. I believe is the most expensive right now. For for all of them, but yeah, Will Anderson Jr. the linebacker. We have 2 mythical linebackers now, right? Two mythical linebackers in Demario Davis, which was a mid-program mythical event. It was a gridiron standouts event that they did mid-program. What was that, during Combine, I believe? And they just threw an event out where you could win a certain Lego week by week. And then I believe it was after 4 weeks, on the 5th week, we got a mythical event for that Demario Davis. But anyway, so we have the Bobby and the Demario Davis, and Will Anderson Jr. is still better than both of those. So those boosts they got actually made a huge difference. I personally use CJ Stroud, and I know that was one that you pulled quite a lot of.
Yeah, I don't think I invested as crazy on the QBs, just because of, I forgot what reason, just because rookie QBs don't usually do that crazy statistically. But yes, that Stroud card was good because obviously he had like a crazy historic rookie season.
Right, with the offensive rookie of the year, it was a crazy season for him. I'm actually in Houston, so it hits home for me. But
Fire, yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's go back to that video real quick, though. So you spent $1,000. Do you remember what it was, like each pack that you got? Like, was it the bulk packs where you got like 6 pulls out of each one, or was it singular packs?
I think it was the mega at the time. I'm not sure how the packs are structured right now, but at the time there was the mega pack, and I think there was like a smaller pack. There was like 3 tiers. There was a basic pack, which is like 95% rare or something like that. And there was like a pack where you pull like 3 and a pack where you pull 5. I think I opened like, the pack you pull 5 was $100. I think I opened like 5 to 7 of those, and then the rest were the 3 packs, something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I saw that you pulled a lot of Addison and Zay Flowers, right? Those were your big pulls.
Oh yeah, those were the big pulls. Yeah, actually, I think I sold most of those cards before I rebought in because I hadn't looked enough into the draft program. So yeah, but I did have big investments, especially into, I think, Zay Flowers. I had a lot of, because that card had crazy stats on base launch.
Yes, it did.
So what?
Go ahead, Butch.
I'm just with those big packs. What what cards and how many roughly were coming in per pack at $100?
I honestly don't remember. I tracked it, and I think at the time I was about break even or something. So, actually, funny story, I can say now, that I'm basically the reason that was part of the reason I started my YouTube channel is because at the time these legendary cards were going for like insane amounts of money. Like they were at probably like $200-300. Because Myth was like $1 each at the time, and this was the first outside of the what is it called, the Super Bowl like pre-release cards. These cards were going for like 200-300. So I was looking at this, I was like, this game has no people really making content for it. I can do a pack opening and basically, for the most part, be able to sell all the cards and get the money back, or use them on my team if I want to use them on the team. But I calculated like EV on the packs, and it was like about break even. So I was like, there's basically no risk I mean, there's risk with packs. Like I almost got screwed if I didn't pull 2 legendaries, but like there with the variants, like it was actually about a positive EV, or I think about break even. It was hard to get rid of some cards, especially with the small card like selling fee. But that's part of why I did such a big opening at the beginning, because and I didn't do any other huger openings after that, because the EV on the packs went down so much after the first pack, where the first pack I was able to rip it, and I think I was down like maybe like $150-200, but to get the like 1,000 number on there was good, and it really did not cost me close to 1,000. Whereas like in Madden and like any other game, you're gonna have to sink that. I mean, at best you're getting in-game currency back, you know. So
yeah, so you could actually get Myth back from this. So you said Myth was at $1. That is incredible. Myth is at about 19 cents right now.
Yeah, I think it's around 19.
It tanked really hard during draft. It was only at $1, like very, very. I think because people were really hyped that the game was actually going live and had NFL license and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. There for a while we got up to about 60 cents, 55, somewhere around there, 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we were at 55 because mine's in Canadian dollars. So I remember seeing it at 70 roughly. So that would make sense. I think around 56-ish USD.
Yeah. And do they still have cards that listed in Myth right now? Like,
what do you mean?
like you buy and sell using Myth? Do you still buy and sell using Myth?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. You see
crazy
both
to
though.
me.
You see both though. You see the Myth amount and what it is in US dollars.
Correct.
Oh yeah, no, that's crazy to me. So that's actually a big part of why I left. That's the one section. I don't know if you want to save that for later, but the fact that they still buy and sell on Myth is crazy to me, honestly.
Yeah, we'll come back to that, but yeah, we do still use Myth. I think that's just something that's gonna forever be a part of it. But I mean, they make it pretty transparent at this point. I think the only issues that some of us have is the 14% that they take every time we make any transaction. Were they doing that back then? 14% transaction fee?
Yeah, they had pretty high fees. I mean, yeah, that's not really my concern with the Myth. Is more, we talked some about the price vol. It's mainly for the price volatility reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is all over the place. It'll jump up and come back down overnight, depending on what. It seems as though what's going on in the game, like event-wise, is when it picks up or it drops, and I guess that's a given. But like when we're typically around the mythical event time is when it picks back up, because everybody's in there trying to buy all those random bonuses. And but speaking of random bonuses, I had seen that you had our last interview was with Impast, and she was talking about how there were certain mythicals back in the day that there were only 50 of and there were only 75 of. What was your first mythical and how did you win it?
So my first mythical, I believe, was the mythical Derrick Henry from Most Feared. Actually, that's not true. My first mythical was the Tyreek Hill. That one I really messed up on. It was a collection reward. You had to get 4 draft legendary players. So I spent out for that Tyreek Hill card because it was essentially a necessity to win in competitive at that time. But I had messed up and bought only 4 like random program legendary players. So I ended up having to buy the Tyreek off secondary for I think like $500 to $600, something like that.
Wow.
That was also for like, yeah, that was a really crazy card at the time.
Still is.
it dropped just because it was literally a competitive necessity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the speed on that card was like literally insane. You're losing like seconds every drive without that one card. So it was kind of insanity at that point, especially because there was no mythical defensive cards to, like, kind of counteract that in any way.
That's crazy. And even now, today, right now, that card is still probably one of the most sought after cards in the game. We're in an event right now, actually, where the mythical is Chase. So you're gonna have two major mythical wide receivers that oh my goodness, if you've got those two guys on your team, that's gonna be pretty impossible to not throw a touchdown on first play almost every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this was before the thing is this was before the defensive AI changes too. So
Yeah.
with the defensive AI changes, it's from what I remember, at least when they changed defensive AI back in winter, it made it actually tougher even for the mythical guys. But back then, it was literally just throwing like a streak or a crosser every single play and just spamming sprint to the end zone. So
Yeah.
Tyreek was like even crazier there.
Yeah, I noticed you had
Crazy.
a mythical receiver and then base cards and rare cards. And maybe one
Yeah.
legendary. It was crazy just being able to see the difference, because nowadays you have players that have almost full mythical lineups, or at least full mythical and legendary, so it's very different. But yeah, so you were saying with the Tyreek, you had to get 4 draft legendary cards. Elaborate on that a bit, so some of us can understand that a bit. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, do they not do like collection rewards anymore?
I don't believe so. Not like
No.
this,
They
at
did it,
least.
I think they changed it because I think after the Tyreek, people got mad because basically what this was it was like a holding reward. Like, are you guys mainly into Rivals for the football aspect or like the crypto aspect? Like, have you guys done crypto before? Are you experienced with crypto?
Butch is into crypto, but I'm mainly just the football aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm kind of on both levels, so I'm just a big football guy in general. Even if you watch right now, as I'm watching fantasy draft stuff on NFL Network while doing this, but that and yeah, I've kind of dived into crypto a bit more than I think a decent amount of people. But I actually, it's one of the things I actually really enjoy about this game is just a lot of card flipping and building on that. So it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so essentially the only reason I was saying that is because it's essentially similar to what in crypto we would call like an airdrop, where they incentivize you to hold. So the incentive was to hold 4 draft cards. I think if you held 4 draft epics, you would get an epic Max Crosby. And then if you held 4 legendary draft cards, you would get a mythical Tyreek Hill, like automatically added into your account. And there were, I think, 3 opportunities within a month. They would take a snapshot on Friday, and then if you had all 4 cards and they weren't like listed on the mythical marketplace at that time, you would get the Tyreek on like Sunday or Monday or something like that. And I think they changed that because people just like transferred the cards between their accounts and got like 3 Tyreek Hills. So I think that's why we haven't seen that since. But yeah,
totally. But I think just building on that a little, it makes sense to do that early so that you create a holding of your NFTs and your stuff, so that it doesn't create as much volatility. It kind of creates a base where people aren't selling as much. It kind of brings the prices up a little as well. So if you're going to hold these cards and incentivize a bonus for people holding them, that's going to keep the value there a little bit more. They've kind of done a little bit of something similar right now, and they're tricky bastards because they've done it where they don't have to give you anything and incentivize that. So what we have now is a team synergy. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
I've seen that. It's similar to the event requirements they had back, where you need a certain amount of each program. Yeah.
Well, we still do.
So
we still do need
it's-
those bonuses, but synergies.
So
it's a continuous
yeah.
thing.
So the synergy, what they've done now is they've now created the the idea where you are going to do better. Your team is going to be better while you hold cards. So you're not getting anything for it other than you do get, your team gets more power. So it gives you the ability to have a better team. However, they don't have to give you anything for it. So they've done a workaround in order to eliminate the process of giving you a bonus for holding, but still made it that it's better for you to hold.
Yeah, and I'm actually not against that because I'm not a fan of one-time airdrops like the Tyreek because the price just, like you said, the price just falls off a cliff after the Tyreek gets distributed. People have no reason to hold. So I'm not entirely opposed to that.
Well,
I am other things.
That Tyreek still goes for pretty decent money, though. It definitely does. Because now we have. I mean, I'm sure you saw Justin Jefferson as well, but now we have DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 mythical receivers, and we're about to get a.
I think I was still there. I think Metcalf was a cold snap that I'm pretty sure was Metcalf the cold snap.
Nah, he was combine.
I think Metcalf was a cold. Oh no, okay.
Almost though. What was that? It was 2 programs later, I think. So it was right there. It wasn't far off.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but cold snap was T.J. Watt and Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, so yeah, we're about to have a third wide receiver in this, Jamar Chase. Were you around whenever the gridiron standout Jamar Chase came around and he had that crazy speed stat at 192?
Oh yeah, I had a video on that. I was ripping a bunch of gem packs, could not pull him. Yeah, I was ripping for that Chase, so I remember that card. That was a crazy card. Is the speed on this one similar where it's top end?
Yep, he's the fastest straight out the gate. I believe he's at 202, right, Butch? I think that's correct.
Yeah, I think so. 202.
Yeah, so he's gonna be a beast for sure. So that's coming up at the end of the program. We've got a lot going on right now with the whole year 2 thing rolling through. So like we were talking about earlier, Will Anderson Jr. is better than any mythical linebacker. We just got a year 2 card, Shaq Thompson, that we've only gotten epics and rares of him before, but they drop a year 2 legendary on us that you had to. So to get him throughout, what was it, like a 90-day period, you had to get these things, or you had to get keys, and to get the keys, you had to buy the packs.
I remember those keys actually. I need to check I don't know if that's still in the shop, but I did log in one time in like March and spend the rest of my stuff so I could get like keys. I don't think I have that many, but yeah.
So basically, I don't remember the exact numbers, but you had to spend so much to get so many keys, and those keys unlocked, what was it, 5 tiers of boxes, Butch?
Yeah.
5 boxes.
Yeah, 5 boxes.
And basically, once year 2 rolled over, so before I jump into that, it was, the boxes were color categorized so that it made it feel like you were going to get a mythical if you went to that 5th one. It made it feel like you were going to get a legendary if you got to that 4th one, and so on and so forth, because of the color that the box was, purple, blue, red, gold. So people were assuming that they were going to get a mythical if they made it all the way up to that box. And the year 2 turns over, and it was just the legendary Cameron Hayward, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? But so they drop a legendary on us, and you can. I don't know if you have seen any of the crafting that we do now, but you could use that Cameron Hayward and an epic kicker, the Texans. Kaimi Fairbairn, the epic kicker that you got from the box before that one, and Butch knows that kicker went for crazy money straight out the gate, like just for an epic card. He was going for how much?
Well, so when those boxes all opened that day that they all opened, I pulled that kicker out of that box and I opened it up and I was like. I look on the market and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I know a kicker is worth a lot, but it was like
400 myth.
I think it was me and Papa Bear actually, and we were both like looking at it, and it was like 115 or 120 myth, and we were like,
Wow.
holy shit. So
Yeah.
he's like, I just sold mine for like 110. I'm like, frick, and then I look at mine, I'm like, the insta's at 120, screw you. I sold mine, and I'm like, take that. Next thing you know, the insta's up at like 280 about an hour and a half later, and we both realized that you needed him to craft, and we were like, frick.
Yeah.
So
Yep. So you
Yeah, it was
used
a lot.
you used that Fairbairn, that kicker, and the Cameron Hayward that you thought you were getting a mythical from this box to craft Shaq Thompson, another legendary. So it would have made more sense if it were a mythical. But as I don't know if you spent any time in the rival server and went to the huddles that Jonathan does, but he had mentioned that
I'm
there's
sure they were complaining about it.
Oh, absolutely. But Jonathan had told us that we were going to get a mythical-esque card. We didn't get a mythical card, but we got a mythical-esque card. And he's very good. The Shaq Thompson card's awesome.
Okay.
But he's still not as good as the mythicals, right? He's under DeMario Davis. He's better
Yeah,
he's better than Bobby, but he's not better than DeMario.
No. Yeah, but he is top. Like, I think if you look at power charts and ratings, I believe he is top like 3 up there.
Mhm.
So
Right there,
yeah.
yep.
I ended up waiting a little bit and got super lucky and hit on a couple of those kickers after I had sold mine in order to craft the Lego and then have the secondary one to craft the Shaq. So it worked out, but frick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, going back to the crafting thing, did you see, because you told us about the Tyreek Hill where you could get it dropped into your account. We had a thing called Player of the Year, the Player of the Year program, where we were able to craft 2 mythicals, one a running back and a defensive end in Myles Garrett and CMC. Did you experience any of that? Or did you see any of it going on?
I looked at crafting when it was very early. I think it was Combine. I was overall pretty unhappy with the implementation of crafting from what I believe it was like, because if I can talk for a little longer, I wanted a thing similar to Madden Mobile. I didn't want crafting to be a program specific thing. When they rolled out crafting, I was hoping for something like what we had in Prime. I'm sure you guys played Madden Mobile if you are playing this game, or
I've seen it. I haven't
No?
played it. No, I have not.
so okay. Prime Madden Mobile was something different. That's a lot of why I hopped into this game. But I was essentially hoping for something like what we had in Madden Mobile with the quick sell or the trophies thing, where it would raise the value of. I didn't think they did it in a good way, because from what I saw on crafting, it was all program specific. They may have changed that now. And it was like put in like 3 legendaries or like 3 epics and get a legendary, but it was only the program. What I wanted was, those program sets were in Madden Mobile, stuff like that too. What I wanted was stuff for rares where you can turn like 5 rares into 1 epic. Or you can turn 5 rares into X amount of training points or X amount of this, because, yeah, in my opinion, at the whole time, the economy was so deflated. I don't know how it is now, where like even epics and legendary were starting to go for like $20, $30, down from like 150, 200, which in my opinion is not super healthy, because packs were just not worth any. Like, there's no reason to spend real world money on packs. So, I wanted something that would essentially like push the whole economy up and make it so that they can add new sets to like kind of balance out the economy, right? Like, if rares start going for too much, then you make it maybe you need 4 rares, you need 3 rares to get the epic. You can tweak those sets, to keep a good balance where packs are still exciting to open. I'm not sure where the state of the game is at right now, but like bringing it back to Madden Mobile, like they would have 5 gold players for a big quick sell, and that can range from like 10,000 to 100,000. So it's like people would actively buy gold players. That's equivalent to me, like I go on the mythical marketplace and I buy 5 random cheap rare players, because I'm excited because this quick sell pack can make me 100,000 coins, right? Which was a lot at the time in Madden Mobile. So people there's like a price floor because the pack is worth this much in expected value, right? So it keeps the prices it's a good way to regulate the markets. And that's not what I saw from the crafting system. I just saw that it was used as like a program progression, which is fine, but I wanted a little more out of that system. I'm not sure how it is now. You guys can tell me a little bit about it, I guess.
Well, I gotta say real quick, I like the way you look at things. I really do. You look at it completely different than I feel like most people do. Because a lot of the players in this game, yes, they understand. Well, some I should say understand the cryptocurrency behind it and how all that works. I'm really not big into cryptocurrency, so I don't really understand most of that stuff. But as for my buddy Butch, I know he does. The crafting, it was you had to buy packs, like you were saying. You had to buy packs to hopefully get a legendary out of it, and the only way to not spend real world money currency is there was a weekly event where you could basically you could only use one program's cards. So let's say Monster Smash, there was a week where we would get an event where it was all Monster Smash cards, and that's all you could use, or you were stuck using base cards. And it made it to where there were only a few people that were either they were there then that still had cards, or that you were willing to go and buy these cards off the market to be a part of this program and be top tier. And in doing so, you could win a pack or two to hopefully pull a legendary. And when you did that, you used that legendary to craft the other legendary that you have to use so you basically pull a legendary and then craft 3 legendaries to craft a mythical. It was pretty ridiculous at the end of it.
Yeah.
It didn't.
So I actually just went back in game, and like crafting right now is still basically how I remember it. There's only one recipe if I'm reading this right, and it's for like an epic player, and it has a bunch of like kickoff players. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, wait. Oh yeah.
There's a few of them. So what they're doing, like it's not. I see what you're saying for sure, but they've put out a whole bunch of different ones. The current one right now, the only one that you're seeing is they're releasing, they release this massive amount of players, packs, whatever. Then they'll throw one of these out a little bit further along in the program. I think this one is 8 rare players to get an epic plus. So you can pull. It's going to be a minimum of an epic, but it can also be a legendary card. And then there's another one that comes a little bit after that, usually, which is blueprints. These are newer within the last couple programs, though, that they've brought these in. They've also, if you're in the program and you're looking at it right now, you can also see there's a thing in there, a program called Team Captains.
Let me see.
So if you look that up, Team Captains, what they did, and I think it's actually quite smart just from a business aspect to keeping things and prices a little bit more stabilized and a little higher. So they gave us this option in year 2 in order to create what they're called Team Captains. And there's one for every team. And they've created a second tier of synergy, which we were talking about earlier. With the team captains, when you have one of those captains, each one of the players on your team that coincides with that team captain, you will get bonuses on those players. So if I have San Francisco's team captain, then all my players on my team who are from the 49ers get a extra push of bonuses. They get an extra, I think it's somewhere around 6 to 8 points overall, power-wise. But in order to make those players, they eliminated, you had to use year 1 players to craft them for the most part. So it was rares, 2 to 3 rares, 2 to 3 epics, A lot of them were a legendary. And what they did is they cleared the market a ton. Like people burned through. I would honestly, if I had to make a guess, the amount of cards from year one cleared off that market were, man, I would bet you it's 50% or more of those cards just got wiped out. Between rares and epics especially. So they did a really good job on freeing that up and eliminating those to create this. And they've definitely incentivized the idea of these new year two players in order, and they've done that with a lot of power creep, right? So these these year two cards are the legendaries, the epics. They're all way better than any of the year one ones by a good amount. So they're making it. I like what they did with it. It's a little tough if you're a little bit of a newer player that just got started later into year one, and you've got all these cards, and you're like, frick, and you don't want to spend a lot. But they, as far as business minded and the ecosystem goes, it was the right move.
Yeah, I actually just saw the team captain and the living legend set, and those kind of do look more along the lines of what I was looking for when they initially started bringing the crafting into the game. I think that's interesting. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Because the main thing I'm excited, or not excited necessarily, but like with these sets, it looks interesting. I would actually be receptive to hopping back in the game if they have done anything about the skill, expression in the game, because that overall became my biggest issue as I kept playing, and I would say if it boils down to it, that's the main reason I quit, is because there was quite literally no skill expression, except especially with the power creep. Like, because even if I played a perfect game, I calculated it out, and without any kind of like defensive, because even in Madden Mobile, you could hang. People who played back in the day know what I mean. If you had a whatever team, like, it wasn't that great, it would be difficult, but you could score and still beat top 100 in tournaments, stuff like that, with a not premier team. And NFL Rivals, I kind of lost interest because it was like, I just have to fill these sets. Like, I can't pick and choose exciting players, so it's not particularly exciting to me because there was no skill expression at the top level of play, and any rewards you got not from the top level of play quite literally did not help you improve your team to a level where you would ever be competitive without spending more money. And that's overall the reason why I stopped playing the game. And to me, unless that gets fixed, unless it feels more like a Clash Royale where even if somebody has higher level cards than you can still beat them with skill, like, I don't think I would consider coming back to the game, just because that dynamic is so predatory, if you ask me.
So when it comes to skill, the only skill that you can really use to your benefit is dealing with the clock as best as you can and setting up your team. That's really all it boils down to. So that's what I figured. Yeah. So if you can, use your timeouts where you can, and get out of bounds. But you have to have defense is key. And I'm sure it was then. Yep. That's what. Yep. But yeah. So defense. That's what I remember. My roommate's coming in right now. I'm on pod. Oh, good, brother.
Sorry,
what's up, roommate?
My wife just walked in a second ago.
But yeah, so defense is key, and if you don't have. Like let's say if you're in a mythical chase event, like you're going for a Jamar chase at the end of the program here, if you don't have a certain caliber of defense, you just don't stand a chance. Like it's just not going to happen. Yeah. You're not going to land top 100. And there were times when, and I'm sure you remember, but when they separated it into 75 and 75 instead of just 100, a mint 100, they separated it into 75 and 75, like the Jimmy Graham and the Derwin James. You were around for that, right?
That event was terrible. That was actually one of the most atrocious because everybody was trying to fail on purpose.
Yeah.
So they could.
So they could get Derwin.
Because the Derwin was literally like the best mythical in the game, and the Jimmy Graham was the worst mythical in the game, and
I still say that.
Made it so that all the winners got the Jimmy Graham. that was a mess.
They should have had it the
Yeah.
opposite for sure, the opposite way. Because yeah, Impasse was saying the same thing as you're saying. Is she was fighting to lose basically, land.
I mean, I was happy because I didn't have a team to get top 75, so I got that Derwin. I sold him for a bag, but
I saw that. I saw that.
but
You had a video on that
yeah.
one, huh? That's badass, dude. So how many did you end up with overtime? How many mythicals did you end up with overtime? Who all did you get?
I got the Tyreek. I later sold the Tyreek because it just didn't really make sense for me to keep the Tyreek. In favor of, like, as you were saying, defensive mythicals, because it was getting to a point where you needed an all legendary, all mythical defensive team to compete in those tournaments. I got the Derrick Henry and the Derwin James because those were relatively easy to get with a not insane team, with a like medium spenders team. But then I was just like spending so much on keeping the channel going and I felt like I had to also because because you basically need all the legendaries and all the mythicals, and if you missed a single tournament and you messed up, you lost one game, finished outside top 75, you would have to pay like another $100, $150 to get another legendary from that program to even be eligible to compete in the mythical event. So I got the Derwin, and then I think that was the last one I got because I fell out of the running for the next mythical, and I was like, I also started. So I had a weird situation where that fall I wasn't at college because I was in the middle of transferring. I was a spring transfer here where I'm at right now, and so I had all the time. But when I got back to school, I was like pledging. I'm in a fraternity right now. I was doing my pledging process, and like I didn't have time to play. Like it was at certain times I was staying up till like 3 a.m. even when I didn't have school, playing like 45 matches.
Oh, we still are.
And then once I got to school, I was like, yeah, I can stay up till now. I'm gonna have to stay up till 5 a.m. because I have other stuff, and I'm not even making the top 150. Like literally at the back half of my content, I was like falling asleep and losing games because I would fall asleep.
I do it all the
And
time.
then
That's
so I was
Butch.
like, I don't enjoy playing the game anymore, and I'm not even getting the mythical reward. So I was like, there's just like not really a point anymore, like at least in my opinion, as like I wanted to keep making content. Like all of the people on here that like watched my content, like that's the only reason I wanted to make it, but I didn't want to keep making like procedural content when I just didn't find the game enjoyable anymore. But luckily I do have some other content that I'm excited about that will be coming soon on a new channel, so I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out for it. Have you been noticing everyone talking in the chat? Just remembering all the stuff.
No, I'm reading some of the chat. It's
There's a lot of people that really invested a lot of time and just really liked your videos, man. So it's cool that you get to spend some time with us here, reminiscing on all of that. But
I'm glad, because a lot of people ask me about that on my channel too, and it's easier because I don't know how the game is nowadays, so I don't feel like a lot of my criticisms actually have been resolved, like you guys said. The main criticism obviously is the gameplay still, which they really haven't done anything on defense. They were promising us since like NFL kickoff last year that they would add stuff on defense, and they haven't done anything.
They did a what was it called? Something Labs.
I heard they had like a highlight, right? Like they tell you which player made the play.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like a thing so you could see the RNG. Basically, it would like pop up like, and this was a very short window that they did this in, but it would pop up like let's say you had Derwin, and so it would pop up Derwin, and then it would pop up their wide receiver and their quarterback, and it would show this little like ticker, and it would just kind of. It would just basically help you visualize the RNG. But in my opinion, it actually made things worse. Like it felt like it was screwing us even more. Oh, we try to predict what these bonuses are going to be. And in doing so, if you don't predict it right, you got to go buy this stuff off the market. And I had to buy, at least 3 cards just to make sure I got a decent team. And even in doing that, I set up a badass team where my overall power was one of the one of the top ones that I had seen in the whole event, but I was still getting such shit matchups that I went. Okay, so this last one was a 2-day event. Typically, it's a 3-day event, 5 games each day. We got 7 games one day and 8 games the next day. And in the first, so if it was 48 hours, in the first 32 hours, I was only able to play 4 games because I was just getting matched up with a bunch of people that didn't have any bonuses. And so I was just going against crazy squads that I just didn't want to play because it was going to screw up my PD and I wasn't going to be able to land anywhere near the spot I wanted to. So that's one thing we deal with a lot of now is the matchmaking, and we're trying to get them to work with us on that, split it up to where if you don't have bonuses, you're in a different tier, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back when you were playing, you were saying that bonuses started to become a thing.
Those were a thing for a while when I was around. I remember they had, what's it called? They had those for the October promo for Madden It's Most Feared. I forgot what it was called. It was Monster Smash. Monster Smash. They start bringing those in already, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yep. So back then, how many bonuses were it? Like, do you remember if it was just a couple cards, or was it couldn't be the same now because they're implementing new stuff all the time, and it just seems to get deeper and deeper. So back then it had to have been.
Oh no, it started off really, really small. I mean, I think it was actually very similar to the itinerations that were in like the Cold Snap promo, honestly. They just like got a little outrageous. I don't know if you guys remember Obsidian. You were around for Obsidian. That was when it started getting really outrageous, when they had a new promo where you could only get the cards from packs, and that was a requirement. Previous to that, they at least kind of let into it a little bit, and like if you won every event and got the free cards, theoretically you could enter for free. But Obsidian was where it got a little silly with that.
Devontae.
But it really, from what I remember about, I think they did start it a little less, like where you didn't have to have basically your whole team be the requirements. In Monster Smash, it was like 4 to 6 players, but it was still kind of in the form that existed at least until Cold Snap. Like I said, I don't know after that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, so you were saying with Obsidian, it was a short program, right? So everybody was aiming to get Devontae. You wanted to get Devontae Adams, and you could only get him from packs. You had to pull him from the packs that you got from the events and all that. But nowadays, we do deal with that. Every program we get typically 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 cards that are pack specific cards. You can only get them from the pack. And then, as I'm sure you remember, there was the click race. And in that click race, there's like 2 or 3 legendaries in there. Well, in the past 2 to 3 programs, we were getting up to like 6 or 7 legendaries in the store. But you would get an event for them every week. So every week you would get a chance at those legendary blueprints, or you could, if you landed top 160, you would get the limited edition card. Yeah. So like even now, we try to, like for the mythical event, we try to set up our teams and like predict, like I was saying, and you have to open packs that, or you have to buy them off of the marketplace to maintain having a decent team, because especially if you're like Butch spends a lot of time playing the market, buying and selling. The cards that you win from the events typically don't go for much because they give away so many of them, 320 plus the 200 to 300 they give away in the shop. You're well over 600 of these legendaries that they just are worthless once they hit the market,
Yeah.
But as Butch can tell you more about, he's, like I said, he spends a lot of time playing the market. Was that something you did? Did you try to buy and sell to flip and make more myth and buy better stuff? Was that something you did back in the day?
I tried a little bit, but honestly, as probably Butch can tell you, when you have that 14% fee, it's not very ideal for swing trading, you know? When you're trying to get quick flips on your margins after the 14% cut are so small that,
Yeah.
like, I was talking about crypto, like, I do other forms of crypto trading. I do sports gambling, which I view as a form of a market trading, essentially, when you're doing it at a high enough level. I essentially had things that were better ROI to do with my time than sit there and like try and snipe cards or like try and do short term flips with that 14%. Because like if you go to a stock exchange and they try to charge you 14%, you're buying for your retirement fund, you're buying like $10,000 worth of Nvidia stock and they charge you 14%, you're gonna get like you'll laugh them out of there. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's just an outrageous cut. And I know like it's not a big deal because it is very volatile assets, but for me, like when you're trying to trade, having that 14% you cut, you have to be very, very good and very, very confident in what you're doing to be able to take that 14% tax and um, consistently make a profit with it, where it's also a very low liquidity market. So like these big cards that I had, like the Will Anderson, the Derwin James, took weeks and weeks to sell when I did want to sell my team. And it's like there's a lot of markets that I trade in that are a lot higher liquidity markets that I can get rid of stuff that I need to get rid of because it's like, I can talk a little bit about the myth price.
Go ahead.
So my issue I had with the myth price, why I can't believe they're still doing it in myth, honestly, is because the if you guys remember, there was like big crash. I don't know, you probably remember Seventh Realm. You remember when myth like went up and then it crashed, like it went up back to 60 cents and then crashed back down to 20 cents, and like these cards are listed for the same amount of myth. So like when the price crashed, you couldn't delist your cards fast enough. These dudes bought your cards for like $20 when you wanted to sell them for like 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like there's a thing we use called stable coins on crypto. Those you could just, that are literally pegged to the US dollar. Why are we not trading it on there? Like, obviously it's because they want the fees for the myth, but it's like when your card can lose, like when you can have that's like listing, if we say like I list a car for like, I want $10,000 for this new, like this Ford I have, and then someone just goes and buys it for $2,000 and I didn't say yes to that. It's like I left it at the dealership and I came back, they give me $2,000. They're like, yeah, someone bought your car. Like, sorry, like
It's gone.
To me, that's outrageous, you know? So that's another reason why I don't feel super comfortable, like, fast trading in this market. I'm good with, like, long-term holds. Like I said, I had a lot of the draft players. But to me, also with the power creep, like you guys were talking about in year 2, it's not, for, like, 99% of cards, it's not usually a good idea to assume they're going to hold their value in the next promo. They can drop a card that's a better card, and that's entirely out of your control, you know? So for the draft, it was like a one-time spot. And there were other investments I kind of liked, like the Monster Smash Kirk Cousins, I think I did invest in. I don't know if I posted about that, but that was just a card that had outrageous stats for like a budget beast card at the time. And I thought it would hold value, and I'm pretty sure it did hold pretty good value for a very long time. But those spots are kind of few and far between, even compared to stuff like Madden Mobile, because another one I did was I actually did hold a lot of the year 1 rare cards. Those didn't turn into that much. I think I sold them before the U2 exchange. But because I was thinking that they were going to bring in these sets, right, where I can trade them in for epic players, and I can trade them in for... So I was buying bulk rare players, hoping that eventually I could bypass that small sell fee and trade them into legendaries later, and they're going to be worth a lot more. Or even the rares are just going to go up so much.
Yeah, one of our guys
so I had
did
a
that.
bit investment in that. But I don't really know how that would have turned out if I held it till year 2. But there were just like so many of those rare cards that I think it wasn't a huge difference. Like I'm like I said, I have no idea where market is now. I just sold off most. I actually think I do still have some, but I should actually check that now that you guys told me about that. But overall, like, it was like more like for fun. If I would invest in cards, it would be more like for fun, just to test out theories, because it wasn't a large scale market enough compared to what I'm doing in crypto to what I'm doing in sports betting, where it made sense to spend the majority of my time finding edges there.
Yeah, I don't think that this NFT crypto market is for the big gains. I think it's this is more geared towards, I want to make a cool NFL team. I want to have fun playing. To be completely honest, I think a lot of people, it's a fun game. It kills some time, but I know that in our group of the mob, a lot of people stick around for the community. There's a lot of people that enjoy the group and the chat and the banter. And then, while you have that on the side, you're playing a game that's still somewhat fun to play. There's still some challenge in it. There's still a reward. So the majority of this game, I don't think, like you're saying, it's not the idea of flipping and buying and selling. You're not going to make huge gains. You can make decent gains. It's not going to be anything life-changing, but to put it into perspective, I would say just me, for example, in the last 2 programs, I have probably made somewhere in the vicinity of, if I had to put a quick number on it, somewhere between 800 to $1,000 US, which is awesome. I don't have that in hand. It's all I have some in hand, some ready to spend, but most of it is in new cards, which I flipped cards in order to create the money in order to buy these cards. So now most of it's sitting in the NFTs, and then some of it's sitting in Myth on the app, ready to on the market, ready to use. But there is, if you have the ability to spend the time, you can easily pretty well run this game if you're not in a rush for free. And you can probably make money off of it in order to kind of keep plugging along.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's kind of what I was trying to get to, is it's actually a very fun investment vehicle for just like, if you like football and you like checking out stats and stuff. But it's not particularly something where I would be like, it's not worth, if you want to be like serious and make like an income, you're not going to make an income.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. Let me see actually how these, I just logged back on my inventory.
Your marketplace wallet?
Yeah, so I had been buying these for like 2 to 3 Myth, these rares. Let me see what they're at right now.
So we have one of the owners in the mob, Jake. He originally owned Psychedelic, and now he owns Chief's Kingdom, one of the top helmets in the whole Rivals game itself. He did that before crafting got started. He spent a lot of Myth on buying rares and a couple epics, but mainly rares, trying to do exactly what you're talking about. And that brings me to something I wanted to ask. Did you invest in rarity helmets at all whenever that all jumped off?
I did not. Surprisingly, actually, what's funny about that is I was like, I saw it when they were minting the initial Ethereum mint, but they'd been sitting for a really long time, so it was on my radar. And then I forgot about it, and then a while later, then I just happened to learn about the game like separately, and I was like, oh, these are the rarity wallets, these are the rarity helmets they were talking about. But I do remember as early as, like, it was on my radar while they were minting, but I mean, at the time it just wasn't a good buy, like, off initial mint. But I'm assuming you're saying those are doing very well right now, which I'm not surprised if they are, because it's actually a quite good value proposition to own those helmets.
So some of them do pretty well. Most of them hold a level of value that, I mean, at this point is probably, I wouldn't say lucrative, but it's you would definitely want to have one if you're deep into the game. And it benefits you in other ways now. With there's certain currencies you get from just having a squad and it being in the top 100. to buy certain things, but there are certain people that have these helmets that have specific things that make them cooler than others and all that people want, and they do go for a high price. And there's actually another guy we're going to be interviewing either sometime at the end of this week or next Monday, and his name's Tito Jackson. He owns more rarity helmets than there are on the actual marketplace, and some of them
Wow.
yeah. And I mean, I couldn't give you an exact number. I think there's like somewhere around 100 helmets on the market right now, and he has well over that. But he's one of those people that has invested in so many of these cards. He's got multiple Tyreek Hill, multiple Derrick Henry, all these mythicals. It's crazy. He did a giveaway, giving away a mythical about a month and a half ago, just because he had it. And but yeah, some of those rarity helmets go for a pretty penny. Like I wanted to get a Broncos helmet, and just you can't even find one on the marketplace right now. But just going through Tito trying to get one, he wanted, just for his least expensive one, he wanted almost 500 myth just for his least expensive one, and that's not even the one I wanted.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
right, yeah, it's definitely pretty wild. But so did you get a chance to look at your wallet, see what you got left?
Oh yeah, no, the cheap rares I bought are like went up like half a myth, like from 3 to 3.5 myths. So definitely did not work out.
The rares, yeah, don't do much at this point. The only rares that I think made any type of money was Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers from the draft event. Wasn't Alvin Kamara one of the draft players, the draft mythicals?
He was, I think. Yeah, that was the first mythical event. That was the first mythical competition event. He was super, super limited, though. If I remember correctly, he was a top 50. So I think he's currently still like one of the rarest cards in game.
Yeah, there is a so I think the rarest card is a legendary Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, yeah, the founders. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Were you around for that? Did you get to experience that at all?
That was a private pre-sale for the Rarity League owners, the pre-packs. Those were before even the game release. So I know of that card just because there weren't that many cards like total in the game when I started. So
yeah,
we would just look on chain, look at that stuff, you know.
There was two of that card.
Like a cool fun pack. Yeah.
Only two of them. It's crazy, and you can't
There's
find
some
it.
crazy rare cards from that founders. There's some crazy rare cards from that founders mint.
Yeah, like that Brandon Ayuk. A lot of people still are searching for that Brandon Ayuk. But yeah. So I see you've been getting into the fantasy football. I wanted to touch on that real quick. How's that going for you? What do you got going with the fantasy football, brother?
So I'm actually drafting another league tonight. I'm currently in this is gonna be my third home league and my what is it called? And I have I'm also heavily invested in best ball drafts on Underdog Best Ball Mania this season.
Really?
I'm very excited about that, to test out some of my theories and some of the players, because I had some very, very deep hits on fantasy last season, and I've been putting a lot of analysis into preseason and stuff. I think it is quite a pivot. I mean, the fantasy content isn't doing as well. It's very saturated, which is why I'm excited for my new channel that's an entirely new niche, similar to what I did with Rivals, where I don't think there's anybody making content on it in the new space. But I am very big onto fantasy drafting. I have a lot of real world money invested in it this year. It's more for fun, honestly, than like I don't know if I can actually outperform market on this one, but it's gonna be interesting, and it definitely makes football more fun. I got into it in middle school, and I've been die hard on fantasy football ever since. I think it's awesome.
I'm kind of the same way, as Butch will probably attest to. I've been drafting. I think I'm up to 12 leagues now. Just entirely too much, putting entirely too much money into football. I'm just so excited for football to be back, and that's kind of why I got into
man, yeah.
to Rivals, because that's when fantasy football was gearing down. You know, that's when I got into Rivals. I was like, I know that we're about to be done with fantasy football, and every year after fantasy football, I'm like, I need something. So I started noticing Rivals coming across the screen on Instagram, and I was like, I'm gonna dive into this, and oh god, I got deep quick. I got deep real quick. But yeah, do you spent time in Blitz Brigade, correct?
Yes, I was in Blitz Brigade for the later half of my Rivals content.
Okay. Were you in the Discord server and talking with everybody in there and spending time with everybody in there?
I honestly am not like I'm the only chats I'm super active in on Discord are like I have a ton of stuff going on Discord. I do so much stuff on here. A lot. I honestly mainly just spend time in like cryptocurrency chats. I wasn't honestly super active in Blitz Brigade outside of just doing content and talking with some of the guys about stat sheets and stuff they had out. That's just kind of by virtue of how I use my like Discord. Like the only reason I talk in certain crypto servers a lot is because I'm like actively trading. And there's stuff dropping all the time. But I was in Blitz Brigade for a time. Those are great guys. I don't know. I mean, you said basically they're still together, but they're doing great stuff. You know, definitely huge on like pushing Rivals like forward. They're big. A lot of those guys are big community members. I know. And like have pushed for a lot of change and a lot of improvement within the like bigger Rival server too.
Yeah, they are. They're the number one squad in the game currently, and have been for a while now. I think we've only been able to beat them once. So, and that was many cycles ago at this point, months ago. But yeah, it's very cool. But you were talking.
Yeah, I mean that's super impressive because I remember at a time they were like it was like one Blitz Brigade 1, Blitz Brigade 2, Blitz Brigade 3 for like 3 straight months in a row. So like. You guys beating them even like once is like very impressive. Congratulations on that for sure.
Well, it took a lot, man. It took a village, that's for sure. It definitely took a lot. And like another thing with ways people work this game that have changed is with the squads. A lot of people were spending time trying to beat Blitz Brigade by swapping people in and out to boost their points, and it became an issue there for a little bit. So they've made it to where you can't do that anymore. If you're not in the helmet or in the squad the day of reset, your points don't go towards the helmet anymore. So that's how they tried to fix that, and it's kind of become an issue because if like let's say we have somebody in our main helmet that wants to take a break, well, we have to get them out of the helmet to get somebody else new into the helmet so that their points will count. And then when they get kicked out, they don't get the gems and all the rewards for being there from the program prior. So it's kind of a mess, but they're trying to do their best to fix this stuff. And they're saying that everybody's like, oh, the regular season's about to start and Rivals is going to pick back up. They got the license for 2 to 3 more years, I believe, and so I know I go through waves of wanting to just sell out and be done with it, or I'm just as deep into it as anybody else. But yeah, if you ever considered coming back, man, let us know. I'm not saying that you have to be a part of the mob, but we would definitely want to spend some more time with you.
Of course, yeah. Great chatting with you guys for sure.
Absolutely, brother. Is there anything else you want to add before we get done today? I know that you had a few things that you wanted to bring up.
No, honestly, you guys taught me a lot about the current. I was excited to hear about how the game is rolling nowadays. That's pretty much it. I'm glad. I'll probably link to this on my community tab because a lot of people, like I said, have been asking me for the multiple reasons why I left the game, and that's pretty much we covered most of them in this video. A lot of the market stuff, a lot of the gameplay stuff, just overall like life stuff in general. I do want to link my I'll link it in here, but
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
gonna be my new channel. This is gonna be more like my vlogging stuff. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be like my fitness content and like a podcasting thing. I think that's gonna be really interesting, and I think it's bringing something new that people haven't seen before. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
link it,
I'm
bro.
excited. The first videos on that should be coming. I just dropped it in the chat right now,
Sweet.
but I think it's gonna be something that people haven't seen before. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of me again soon.
Yes, there's a lot of people that look forward to that, man. There's a lot of people that really did enjoy your content and want to see more of you. So I'll make sure that when I post this onto the YouTube channel, where we do get a lot more eyes, that I'll link that as well. But yeah, man.
All right, awesome.
Well, we appreciate you spending time with us today, man. I'm going to give the guys in the chat 1 second real quick. If anybody wants to throw your hand up and come on stage and ask 2Natty if you got any questions for him, feel free to throw your hand up now. And yeah, let's just check that out real quick, see if anybody's got any questions. How many people we still got in here? I'm focused on the...
You got 10
So
10
10
sitting in there right now.
Okay.
I think we're good. I don't think anyone. I don't know. We feel like we covered a decent amount.
Yeah,
so
I think we
I don't
got
know
it.
if there's too many. I don't know if there's too many questions left to ask. To be honest.
Yeah, we did well. All right, buddy. Well, hopefully we can stay connected. And if there's anything you ever want to know, or like I said, if you want to jump back into things, feel free to hit us up. And we're not gonna kick you out of the server. I mean, if you want to stay in the server, feel free to jump in and talk to us anytime, man.
Sick, for sure, man. No, thanks so much for reaching out, having me on. It was good to talk Rivals for a bit again. And yeah, y'all have a good one.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, take care, and we will see y'all next Monday with Tito. Y'all have a good evening, guys.